My name's Lila. I'm a 25-year-old grad student in Austin, Texas, and this happened in May of 2022. I don't really talk about it much, but ever since that night, I don't take Ubers alone anymore, even during the day. It began like any other late study session. A couple of classmates and I stayed behind after our evening seminar, talking about the final project and eating leftover pizza in one of the campus lounges. It was after 10 p.m. when I finally packed up and requested a ride. The bus schedule gets weird after 9, and I didn't feel like waiting at a deserted stop that late. So I booked an Uber. The driver's name was Mitch. He had a solid rating, like 4.9 or something, and the car matched the app. Silver Nissan Altima. Clean, nothing sketchy about it. He gave me that standard driver smile when I got in, and I noticed he had one of those air fresheners that smells like vanilla and chemicals. Long day? He asked. Yeah, grad school life, I said, with a tired laugh. He chuckled, and we made small talk for the first couple of minutes. It was nothing deep, just classes, weather, how hot Austin was getting already. Then he said something that felt a little off. GPS always sends me the long way, he muttered, tapping at the mounted phone on his dash. But I know a shortcut that'll shave off like 10 minutes. Now, I'm not some hardened skeptic, but something about the way he said it, the casual confidence paired with the slight grin, put me on alert. I just smiled and said, okay, trying not to sound weird about it. At first, it wasn't that strange. We turned off the main road and I figured maybe it was a side street that connected through. But 5 minutes in, we were nowhere near familiar territory. The streetlights were fewer, and the buildings around us turned into industrial warehouses and fenced-off lots. The kind of places you drive past without thinking during the day, but wouldn't want to walk near at night. I pulled up my phone and opened Google Maps. The little blue dot was way off from the route I knew. According to the app, we were going in circles, looping around a cluster of unnamed roads. The GPS hadn't recalculated either. We were definitely off route. Is this still the shortcut? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. He didn't answer right away, just kept driving. Yeah, he finally said. It wraps around, comes out near your place. Just trust me. Trust me. That phrase hit wrong. I started watching the road more carefully. We passed the same boarded-up loading dock twice. Same tipped-over shopping cart. Same flickering street lamp. He wasn't trying to save time. He was stalling. My fingers stayed clenched around my phone. I tilted it so he couldn't see the screen and quietly shared my location with my roommate, Kara. No text, just the ping. Actually, I said after another turn, I think my roommate just texted me. She's waiting outside. Could you just drop me off at the main intersection? Mitch looked in the rearview mirror. We're not that far. I'll get you closer. I'd really rather just get out now, I said. He didn't slow down. That was when I decided to stop being polite. I lifted my phone up, clearly in view now, and said, if you don't let me out right now, I'm calling 911. There was a pause, a long one. And then, without a word, he pulled over to the curb. Not a busy street, not near anything open, just curb, gravel, and that faraway highway noise. He didn't even look at me as I opened the door and stepped out. I backed away from the car slowly, clutching my phone, not taking my eyes off him. He didn't drive off. He stayed parked there, engine running, until I crossed the street. Then he took off. I ended up walking nearly 20 minutes to get to a 7-Eleven that was still open. Kara stayed on the phone with me the whole time. When I got there, I ordered another Uber from a different account and made sure it had multiple recent 5-star reviews. I reported the ride, of course. Uber responded with a refund and said they'd look into it. I never found out if anything came of it. Maybe he just got a warning. Maybe nothing happened at all. But I keep thinking about it. I still wonder if he was testing to see how far he could go before I noticed. It was a Friday night in April, just a few weeks before graduation. I'd gone out with some friends to celebrate one of our last nights of real freedom. No assignments, no job interviews the next morning, no looming responsibilities. We hit up this divey little bar near College Town, one with bad lighting and even worse bathrooms, but the drinks were cheap and the music was familiar, so none of us really cared. By 1 a.m., I was tired. Not blackout drunk or anything, just worn out. The kind of tired that comes from being a senior with too much on your mind. I told my friends I'd call it early and get an Uber back to my apartment. They teased me a little, but I waved it off. I lived less than 10 minutes away. I ordered the ride and waited near the curb, a little buzzed, playing with the zipper on my purse. The app said it'd be a white Camry. The guy's name was Daryl. 5 stars, nearly 2,000 rides. That seemed safe enough. When the car pulled up, I did the usual quick check. License plate matched. Car looked clean. Driver looked close enough to his profile photo. I got in the back seat and said, "Hey, how's it going?" Just to break the silence. He smiled in the rearview mirror and said, "Good. Long night?" I nodded, buckled my seatbelt, and rested my head against the cool glass. The first minute was uneventful. He turned down the music, made a joke about the bar scene being a zoo on weekends. I gave a small laugh. Then I heard a soft click. I looked down. The child locks had engaged. Not a huge deal. I figured maybe he'd accidentally triggered them with the central lock. I didn't know why, but that sound instantly made me sit up straighter. We passed a green light I knew led toward my apartment. I tapped the screen of the Uber app. The little car icon wasn't following the suggested route. "Hey," I said casually, doing my best to keep it chill. "GPS says the turn was back there." "Oh, I know a faster way," he replied, still watching the road. "That app doesn't know these streets like I do." That didn't sound wrong exactly, but it also didn't sound right. "Okay," I mumbled, eyes still on the map. The route on the screen began recalculating, but every version still led back to the turn we missed. We passed a row of houses I didn't recognize, then a long stretch of dark trees and empty intersections. My fingers were damp. I started mentally retracing the route, thinking about whether I could run if I needed to. Then he said, "You don't have to go home, you know." I blinked. "What?" "I'm just saying there are better ways to end a Friday night." There was no smile in his voice. It was flat, like he'd rehearsed it before. I pressed the door lock button on my side. Nothing. Still locked. "I'm good," I said quickly. "I've got a paper due tomorrow." He laughed softly, then didn't say anything else for a long stretch. I watched the street signs, realized we weren't anywhere near my neighborhood. My phone buzzed, a text from one of my friends asking if I got home safe. I didn't respond. I didn't want him to know I was scared. Instead, I started typing under my bag slowly. "This guy isn't going the right way. Locks are on. Can't get out. Still moving." I hit send. A bubble popped up immediately. "You want us to call the cops? Where are you?" I looked at the rearview mirror and tried to steady my voice. "Actually, could you drop me here? I just realized I left something with my friend." No answer. He didn't even slow down. That's when I panicked. I reached over and yanked at the door handle. Nothing. Again, still locked. He looked at me in the mirror. Relax. I told you, I'm taking you somewhere better. My stomach flipped. I scanned the dash. He was doing about 35 miles per hour now. Not fast, but not slow enough to jump out either. Then I saw a red light ahead. Four-way stop. Not much traffic this late. I held my breath and checked the back window. It was the kind that only rolled halfway down. But I didn't need halfway. I needed enough. The second the car slowed, I yanked at the window button. Nothing. It didn't move. Then the window jerked down 2 inches, then 3. He noticed. Don't do that, he snapped. Just sit still. But I didn't stop. I pushed my arm through the gap, then wedged my shoulder in. It scraped hard against the frame, but I didn't care. I used my legs to push, digging my foot into the seat and kicking forward. I could hear him cursing, unbuckling his seatbelt. As the car came to a full stop at the intersection, I shoved my torso out the window. My legs caught. I kicked harder. My foot hit the ceiling. Then, release. I hit the pavement awkwardly and rolled onto the curb. My arm screamed in pain. I heard the car door open, his footsteps hitting the ground. But then something happened I didn't expect. Another car turned the corner. Headlights lit up the whole street. My driver froze, then got back in the Camry and sped off. I just lay there for a second, breathing hard, my jeans torn at the knee, palms burning. A woman in the other car rolled down her window and shouted, "Are you okay?" I nodded too quickly. Like that could make it true. She pulled over, helped me up, and waited while I called the cops. The report was taken. The license plate, car make, and driver name were all entered into the system. But here's the thing that still gets me. When Uber followed up, they said the license plate didn't match any registered vehicles on their platform. The ride may not have even been real. I still don't know who that man was or what somewhere better meant. But I know one thing. I'll never get into a car again without checking everything. Locks, plates, route, the whole deal. And yeah, I had bruises all down my side, but I didn't care. I was out. I left the library just after midnight. It had been a long study session. Midterms week, caffeine-fueled chaos, the whole deal. My friends had already left, and walking alone didn't feel smart, so I called an Uber from the campus roundabout. It was quiet out. That late-night quiet where the buzz of the lights is the only sound, and your backpack feels like it's dragging you down. The app said the driver's name was Mario. He had good reviews, 4.96 stars, and the car matched the one on the screen. A dark blue Corolla, slightly beat up but clean. He smiled when I opened the door. "Gabby?" "Yeah," I said, sliding into the back seat. It smelled like lemon-scented cleaner, and the radio was tuned to some talk show I didn't recognize. I buckled up and sent a quick text to my roommate, "On my way. Should be home in 15. The ride started off fine. Quiet. Uneventful. I was scrolling through my notes, kind of zoning out to the rhythm of the tires on the road. It's weird how safe you think you are just because someone has a decent rating and a clean car. Then he turned off the main road. I looked up. That's not the way to McAllister. He looked at me in the mirror. Shortcut. Trust me, the construction ahead is a nightmare. It was true there had been construction near the highway ramp, but still, I didn't remember seeing a detour on the map. I unlocked my phone and opened the Uber app again. The little blue line had gone gray, then started recalculating. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to sound paranoid, but I also didn't put my phone down. We passed a closed auto shop, then an empty gas station, then just empty. No cars, no people, just that eerie amber glow from the streetlights. And even those were spaced out and flickering. And then he pulled into a parking lot. Just pulled in. It was completely empty. A big cracked stretch of pavement behind a row of shuttered stores. One of the old strip malls that still had peeling signage from the early 2000s. He didn't say a word, just turned the wheel slowly, coasted toward the back corner, and parked. Is something wrong? I just need to check something in the trunk, he said. I watched him in the mirror. His voice was calm. Too calm. He got out and shut the driver's side door. I waited for him to pop the trunk, but he didn't. He walked around the back of the car and just stood there. I couldn't see him clearly from my seat, just a vague silhouette behind the red glow of the brake lights. He wasn't moving, not opening the trunk, not pacing, not even checking his phone, just standing there. It felt wrong, like he was waiting on something or someone. I locked the doors, then I turned the screen brightness all the way down and texted my roommate again. Something's weird. Please stay awake. I might call you. She replied instantly, What? What's going on? I didn't answer. I lifted my phone, angled it to the side, and tried to snap a picture of him through the rear window. The photo came out useless, just light flares and shadows. But the reflection of his shape was still there, still not moving. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I felt like I was holding my breath the entire time. Finally, I hit the call button. It rang once. He moved. He took one step forward, then another. I whispered into the phone, Hey, just stay on the line. Don't talk. My roommate must have caught on, because she stayed completely silent. The driver opened the door and sat back down like nothing had happened. He didn't look at me. He didn't say anything. He just started driving again. But faster this time. Jerky turns, sharp acceleration. Like he was angry or rushing something. We hit a stoplight and I leaned forward. Hey, I think I left my wallet at the library. Mind if we swing back real quick? He didn't respond. Just kept staring at the road ahead. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't even sure where we were anymore. It wasn't the right direction. That much I knew. I kept the call open with my roommate and started giving clues, loud enough for her to hear. Is that the QT gas station near 8th Street? Still no response from him, but I saw his eyes flick to the mirror. He knew I was talking to someone. He took the next corner too fast, and I grabbed the door handle. Still locked. The window buttons didn't work either. But the third red light, that was my chance. He had to slow down, and right when the car started to roll to a stop, I unbuckled, opened the back window just an inch, and shoved it down with both hands. I had maybe 6 inches of space. I didn't care. I squeezed my arm through, twisted my body sideways, and screamed. There was a woman pumping gas at the station ahead. She looked up. I waved wildly and screamed again. That did it. He hit the gas, hard. But I think he realized too late that eyes were on him now. He yanked the wheel and pulled into a different lane, almost clipping a parked car. The second we slowed down enough, probably still doing 10, maybe 15 miles per hour, I pushed the window down further and slid out. It hurt. My ribs scraped against the door frame. My foot caught something and I tumbled onto the sidewalk. I didn't stop. I got up and ran straight into the gas station store, breathless, scraped and shaking. The clerk looked up like I'd just escaped a movie set. Someone call the cops, I gasped. He locked me in the car. He wouldn't stop. They called. I filed the report, gave them the license plate and everything. But here's the part I hate the most. The account he used? Fake. The plate didn't match any vehicle on file. The name on the app? No record of it after that night. Uber claimed the trip had timed out due to signal loss and no feedback. They couldn't even track the ride history on my app afterward. It just vanished. And I've never stopped wondering, what was he waiting for in that parking lot? It takes a lot to really rattle me. I run audits for a living, which means I spend most of my time buried in spreadsheets, checking for inconsistencies, tracking patterns, and making sure everything adds up. So when I say something felt off that night, it wasn't a hunch. It was the same gut-level certainty I get when I know someone cooked the books. I just finished a business dinner downtown. One of those obligatory client things. Nothing fancy, just steak, wine, and a few polite laughs over quarterly reports. It was a Thursday night, light drizzle coming down, the kind of gray Seattle evening that never fully wakes up. I stepped out of the restaurant around 9:40 p.m. and opened the Uber app. There weren't many cars nearby, so I was glad when one popped up within 2 minutes. A black Toyota Camry, driver name Leo. 2 minutes later, the exact car pulled up. The guy behind the wheel gave me a quick nod. No words, just the kind of acknowledgement you give when you've done this 100 times before. Looked like the picture in the app too. Dark hair, beard, maybe late 30s. I got in. We pulled away from the curb and started heading toward my hotel near South Lake Union. Traffic was light. The car smelled faintly of air freshener and old coffee. I remember checking my email, skimming a client invoice that didn't quite balance, when my phone buzzed again. "Your Uber has arrived." I stared at the screen. It showed the same make, model, and plate, still pulling up in front of the restaurant I'd just left. I said nothing at first. I just looked at the rearview mirror, then down at the app again. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe I'd accidentally double booked. But my ride history didn't show this car. In fact, it said I'd never entered a vehicle at all. "Hey," I said carefully, "just out of curiosity, this ride didn't come through the app, did it?" The guy said, "You looked like you were waiting for a ride. Figured I'd help out." There it was. That pinprick sensation of something not adding up. "Right," I answered. I pulled up the Uber screen again and took a screenshot of the active request. "Actually," I added, reaching into my pocket, "I think my office is calling me. Mind if I take this?" "Sure," he said. But the way he said it, almost amused, put me even more on edge. I held the phone to my ear and started improvising. "Yeah, I'm in the car now, heading over," I said to nobody. "Wait, they want the file signed tonight? Okay. I'll have him pull over. I'll walk the last block." We were near Denny Way. I spotted a Walgreens on the corner and pointed to it. "Hey man, can you let me off right up there? I've got to grab a file from the office. Won't take long." For a second, I thought he wouldn't stop. Then, without a word, he pulled over. I stepped out, calmly at first, shut the door, gave him a polite wave. Then I walked fast, faster than I probably should have, straight into the Walgreens. I ducked behind a display of allergy meds and peeked out. The Camry was still idling. After about 30 seconds, it drove off. I waited 5 more minutes before I stepped back outside. Then I called the actual Uber, the one from the app. When the new driver arrived, I double-checked everything. That ride went smoothly. Back at the hotel, I called the police and reported what happened. I also contacted Uber support, sent them the screenshot, the timestamps, the plate number. The next day, an officer followed up. Nice guy, young, said they were looking into it. But here's the kicker. The plate number matched the one on my Uber app exactly, and Uber later confirmed it had been cloned. Uber also confirmed the real Leo had canceled my ride 2 minutes after I failed to show up. He'd driven off. Whoever picked me up wasn't him. Whoever that guy was, he'd gone out of his way to look legit, down to the plate. The part that really gets me, the guy didn't ask for money, didn't make small talk, didn't do anything weird at first. So what was he planning? I was in a good mood that night. It had been a while since I'd gone out, not clubbing or anything wild, just something low-key. A gallery opening downtown. A few classmates from the studio had invited me, and I figured, why not? It was summer in Atlanta. Hot, but not unbearable after sunset. It was one of those nights where the city felt alive. After the event, I hung around for a bit, talking, laughing, drinking one overpriced white wine too many. Nothing crazy. I wasn't drunk, just relaxed. The gallery was near Edgewood, and the crowd had started to shift from artsy to rowdy, so I figured it was time to call it. I booked an Uber home like I'd done 100 times before. I remember checking the plate when the car pulled up. Silver Toyota Corolla. Plate matched. The driver looked about mid-30s, clean-cut, friendly smile. Said my name correctly. Vanessa, right? Yep, that's me, I said, sliding into the back seat. I remember thinking the car smelled nice, like citrus and something woody. He even had music playing, something chill, like instrumental hip-hop. Nothing about it felt wrong, not at first. We made small talk. He asked if I had fun at the gallery. I told him about the pieces I liked, a weird sculpture that looked like it was melting. He laughed and nodded along, not creepy, just engaged. Said he liked going to local art shows too sometimes. Then he asked if I lived alone. I didn't love that question, but I didn't immediately panic either. It could have just been small talk. I said something vague like, I live near the university. He nodded and said, you've got that art student vibe. Calm, curious, sensitive. That one made me pause. I laughed it off. I guess that's a compliment. He smiled in the mirror, and I noticed he kept making eye contact through it. Long looks, too frequent to be casual. A few minutes passed. We hit a red light. I checked my phone, scrolled through Instagram stories from the gallery, and sent a quick text to my roommate. On my way back now. Should be home in 10. That's when he said it. Hey, you should cancel your plans. Come hang out at my place instead. I make a killer margarita. I paused, not sure I'd heard him right. I laughed, the kind you use when you don't know what else to do. Appreciate the offer, but I'm good. Just heading home. He didn't laugh. I'm serious. I'm not far from here. I've got a place with a patio, great view of the skyline. You'll love it. I shifted in my seat a bit, trying not to show that my whole vibe had shifted. The music kept playing softly, like the scene didn't realize it was becoming a different genre. I really just want to go home. He gave a little shrug, but didn't change course. I tried to ease the tension. Besides, I've got a paper due Monday. Got to be responsible at some point. He laughed at that, but it wasn't a warm laugh. You're the kind of girl who needs to stop being so responsible all the time. Live a little. Come on, I'll show you a good time. I stopped responding. Just looked out the window, checking where we were. Still headed in the right direction, but he had turned off the main road. He muttered something about avoiding traffic. Where are we going? Just a better route. Chill. You're safe with me. My stomach nodded. Not in a dramatic movie way, just a tight, quiet alarm going off. I opened my phone and pulled up the Uber app to share my ride with my roommate. I texted her again. Can you track my location? This guy's acting weird. Then I said it out loud like I was just making conversation. Hey, just so you know, my friend's tracking me. She likes to make sure I get home safe. He didn't respond, just kept driving. Another minute passed. We were now in a quiet neighborhood, mostly dark. No traffic, no people. I looked up from my phone. Hey, can you just let me out here? I'll walk the rest. He looked back. Why? What's the rush? I'm not comfortable right now. Please let me out. He shook his head slightly. Relax. You're overthinking. We're almost there. That was the final straw. I hit the button to call 911 and turned up the volume. 911, what's your emergency? He saw the screen and heard the voice. I didn't even say anything. I just let the dispatcher talk. He swore under his breath, pulled over hard, and said, "Get out then." I didn't wait. I shoved the door open and scrambled out. The second I was out, he hit the gas and sped off. I stood on a random sidewalk, breathing heavy, clutching my phone. Called my roommate, told her everything. She offered to come get me, but I ended up walking to a well-lit gas station a few blocks away and ordering a new ride. That one was an older woman in a Prius. She didn't say much, and I didn't need her to. I reported the driver, of course. Uber said they'd look into it. I never heard back. But here's what keeps me up some nights. I almost said yes. Not because I wanted to go, but because he was charming enough early on to make it feel like maybe it wouldn't be that weird. It scares me that I didn't see it coming. That he almost had me thinking it was my idea. If the creepiest part was how normal it all seemed until it wasn't, smash that like button, subscribe for more real terror, and comment what you do in that car. And if summer nights feel safe and slow, this next video will wreck that illusion. Click now to watch 4 scary summer night horror stories. The dark doesn't care what season it is. Stay alert, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.